Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Braden Anthony with Phantom Weather Channel here to give you our annual winter forecast for this upcoming snow season. We are going to be going over NOAA's forecast for the general pattern, and I'm also going to be giving you guys my take on how much snow your area is going to see. So what we are going to be doing first is taking a look at the pattern that is expected from December of this year all the way through February, and that is going to be a La Nina winter. La Nina in Spanish stands for the girl. Why? I don't know, but that's what it is. And La Nina, what that means is that we have a northern-oriented jet stream. That means our jet stream is going to be positioned across the northern tier of the United States. Guys, our jet stream is what tracks all of our storm systems along. So that means that anywhere near into the north of this jet stream is likely to see snowier conditions than normal because we're going to see more winter storms tracking through that region. And we're also going to have more cold air across this area because we're going to have all that cold air getting pulled down on the backside of the storms from Canada. So we are expecting a colder and snowier winter across the northern tier of the U.S. We're going to break that down a little bit more in detail in a second, though, because I don't know about the Northeast. We're gonna get into the Northeast in just a second. What a La Nina winter also means, and we didn't have a La Nina last year, we had the opposite of one. A La Nina also means that we're likely to have a warmer and drier winter across the southern tier of the United States. That includes areas like Texas, Louisiana, the Gulf, including Florida, even the desert Southwest. All of you guys are expected to have a warmer and drier winter than you guys typically see. Again, because the jet stream that tracks all the storms is located way to the north of you guys. But areas like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, up there into the Pacific Northwest, like Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, you guys are going to see a very active winter this year, more likely than not. So at the moment, NOAA does agree with that because they are expecting a La Nina. It is looking like in terms of precipitation, there's two major areas that they are expecting above normal or just wetter conditions, and that is going to be the Pacific Northwest and the Northern Rockies, again, kind of centered right over Montana and Idaho, and another area across the Great Lakes, the Midwest. You guys are going to have a very active winter, and that especially goes for Michigan, but certainly the states surrounding it as well. And again, southern United States, very below normal for you guys. Last year was kind of a different situation. We were expecting it to be dry across the northern tier of the U.S., dry across the Great Lakes. That's because we were expecting an El Nino, the boy. This year we're expecting a La Nina. So it's an opposite pattern, and it all has to do with the orientation of that jet stream that tracks our storms where they got to get going. So in terms of temperature, this is where stuff gets a little bit interesting. So as we'd expect in a La Nina, most of the northern tier of the U.S. is expecting below normal temperatures for this upcoming winter season. We're thinking that's especially true from the Pacific Northwest into the Great Plains. It's going to be colder than normal for you guys. Obviously, it's going to be cold either way in Minnesota in the winter, but it should be colder than normal across those areas. The southern tier of the U.S., again, as we'd expect, not as much, not as much cold air getting brought down into that area. It's going to be warmer than normal. But what is interesting is over here across the Northeast. It looks like NOAA is expecting this area that includes New England, that includes the northern tier of the Atlantic seaboard, and it even includes parts of the Ohio Valley and the eastern Great Lakes. We are expecting at least slightly above average temperatures, and this likely could be the orientation of the jet stream. Maybe we see that jet stream moving off into Ontario a little bit earlier than we'd see with a typical orientation, so that could be a possibility. So that's going to tie into our snow forecast in just a second here, but it could be maybe a few degrees warmer than normal at times across the northeastern portion of the United States. Overall, though, pretty typical for what you would expect for a La Nina elsewhere. So let's get into my snow forecast. This is going to be a relatively quick video because we're just going over the basic stuff. But if you are in these shaded areas here, which is pretty close to NOAA's outlook for precipitation, I am expecting, I know it says snowy. Obviously, you guys are going to get snow in either of those areas. But if you're in these blue shaded areas, I expect you are going to see above average snowfall compared to normal for the 2024 to 2025 winter season. So that includes the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Rockies. I think it's pretty much identical to what NOAA is expecting for you guys for two reasons, because we expect significantly above average precipitation across these areas, but we're also expecting colder than normal conditions across these areas as well. Remember, low pressure systems have counterclockwise moving winds. We're going to get a bunch of cold air getting pulled down on the back end from Canada, and we're going to see a very active storm track. So the Northwest, you guys are going to see above normal snowfall this year. That's certainly what I'm expecting. The same goes for the Great Lakes, guys, but one thing you will notice is that in NOAA's outlook, we were expecting above normal precipitation going all the way down into the Ohio Valley and into parts of the eastern Great Lakes as well. But as it ties into snowfall, I don't think it's necessarily going to be snowier than normal across parts of the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast, because we see above normal temperatures across that area as well. Again, typically speaking, with a La Nina, you guys are going to have that jet stream maybe a little bit south of parts of New England. You're going to have a lot of snow and cold air to the north, but it may cut off a little bit before that, and I think that the Northeast, it's going to be pretty active. You guys will see a lot of rain, a lot of ice, certainly some snow in there as well, but I just don't necessarily know if it'll be above normal. The Great Lakes, opposite for you guys. I think Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, back there into Minnesota and Iowa, it's going to be a very snowy winter for you guys, as we would expect in a La Nina. We had a La Nina a couple of years ago. Again, last year we started with an El Nino, which is the opposite of a La Nina. It's going to be drier across these areas, and then it transitioned to more of a normal pattern. But I think this year, the Pacific Northwest and the Great Lakes will see snowier conditions than normal for this upcoming time of year. So guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you did enjoy it and you want to see more of them, be sure to subscribe to the channel with those post notifications turned on, and also be sure to drop a like on the video if you guys want other people to get this information as well. But until the next video or live stream, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.